My first job was working in a luggage store. We sold high-end suitcases, briefcases, and leather goods. We were taught to show customers the most elegant and expensive products first. There was always a chance they might buy the pricey model, but it also made the less expensive but still pricey version look more reasonable. This is a common sales technique, and one that relies heavily on a social psychology construct known, logically enough, as the contrast effect. The contrast effect is not limited only to luggage sales strategies. Indeed, your book cites a study in which male college students were presented with a photograph of a supposed potential blind date immediately after watching a television program with three very attractive female co-stars from Charlie's Angels. In comparison with a control group, the guys who watched the TV show rated the girl in the photograph as being much less attractive. Other studies have shown that married men may rate their affection for their wives as lower after exposure to attractive models. Yikes! Interestingly, I have not seen the same research replicated with female subjects rating males. The thing is, our cognitive biases are often unconscious and unintentional, making them difficult for us to avoid. Our book calls this a cognitive blind spot. The type of contrast effects we just discussed are an example of such biases. The issue is that there is so much social information and so little time. To understand how we deal with the vast quantity of social information we encounter on a daily basis, we need to first understand a couple of terms. In the last chapter, we briefly discussed heuristics, mental shortcuts for processing information. In this chapter, we will give heuristics a much more detailed examination as they form the foundation for both our ability to process complex social information quickly and our tendency to make judgments that are sometimes wildly inaccurate. Think of a heuristic as a rule of thumb that works much of the time but can sometimes lead us astray. Schemas are automatically created mental frameworks that help guide the way we think about and understand the society around us. We use heuristics and schemas to make sense out of our complex social worlds. Most of the time, they serve us fairly well. However, reliance on these basic rules of thumb and cognitive sets can blind us to social realities that don't follow our preset rules. Think about how you decided which colleges to apply to. One strategy would be to investigate every one of the more than 300,000 colleges in the U.S. You could read every catalog cover to cover, evaluate all of their enrollment statistics, and consider the qualifications of the faculty in every subject you are considering for a major. Just thinking about it is overwhelming. We need ways to cut through all that excess information. This is where heuristics can help you. Most people start thinking about which colleges come easily to mind. You may think of colleges where your friends and family have attended or with which you associate your favorite sports teams. You might think of Ivy League colleges famous for certain majors or like MIT for math and engineering. This tendency to look first towards what most easily comes to mind is the availability heuristic. It makes a lot of sense as a place to start, but over-reliance on the availability heuristic might blind us to easily accessible information, like that hidden small gem of a women's liberal arts college that's tucked away between three major universities. Or it might cause us to overlook aspects of a school that are not good matches for us. Consider your friend who has always wanted to attend University X because she loves their basketball team, but fails to notice that University X does not have a strong program in her preferred major. Have you ever visited a campus and it just felt right or wrong? Think about the images of colleges you see in the movies. Movie location scouts choose those brick and ivy campuses for a reason. They match our typical college schema. When we visit a campus or see pictures of it on a website, we are unconsciously comparing it to our mental schema for a typical college. The representativeness heuristic occurs when we classify something according to how similar it is to a typical case. The availability and representativeness heuristics are only two of a number of ways in which we seek to categorize and analyze our social world. As you read this chapter, bear in mind that for every cognitive shortcut we take to make sense of the vast amount of information we process every day, there is an upside and a downside. Being aware of our tendency to use these shortcuts is the first step in making ourselves less vulnerable to the negative side of our own cognitive conservatism.